can you recreate a person to be exactly what you want them to be in your life? Specific person manifestation, make them conform. First of all, you can experience a version of a person based on the decisions that you make, the way they are going to be, the way you want to see them. But there are caveats, as in that you can't have all this resistance and keep going back to what they are at the moment that you can see and then try and recreate them and then wonder why they're not. I don't like the term conforming, because it makes it sound like everybody else is just a robot at your command, and that's not what I believe. So you are just getting another version of your reality. So if you take your focus away from the fact that you are changing a person, you're changing your decisions about what you want to see in your reality. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. But don't look at free will and think, yes, but everybody has free will. Yes, but what is free will really? Our understanding of free will is a little bit off, I think, from what free will actually is. And maybe we are all constantly behaving according to somebody else's feelings. But I'm just looking at this as my reality. Now, I wanted a person to experience something a few weeks ago now, and it went against their personality, the way that they are, the way they see things, the way they do things, for them to have this experience. But I wanted it anyway, and I thought, no, that is what I want. I didn't 100% believe it would happen, but I just thought, that's what I want for that person to experience that, regardless of how they are, usually, regardless of what they are in this timeline. This is what I want them to experience. Now, they experienced that exact thing that I wanted them to experience, which meant, it's really difficult with me not to say what it is, that they had to behave differently, they had to feel differently about something, they had to have a kind of skill set that they don't really have, they don't have, that had to do something they didn't think that they could do in order for this to show up. And the person in question was completely shocked at how everything unfolded. Now, what happened there? So they did conform in a way to what I wanted them to have an experience. So their behaviour and the way they were had to conform to that desire from me to see something different. So let's just go to how you would do it. Do you know what? Let's cut out all of the bits and pieces in between, because to be perfectly honest, if you are really focused on that and you really push aside other scenarios and only go, no, this is what I want, and I'm bringing myself to this is the experience that I want, this is going to happen at some point. This is going to happen. It's always happened to me, and I've had it with a couple of people in my life. Well, now I can count 3 times that this has happened majorly, people changing majorly and never, ever, ever changing back, because I never go back to that timeline in my head. I'm always like, no, this is it now. I get it. This is it. So yes, it's completely possible. The best way to do it is decide what you want to experience. So stop thinking about changing them, stop thinking about them conforming, because I find that the people that do that and then it happens, it just drifts back again, because they've kind of like affirmed for it. Okay, yeah, then it's happened, but their core sort of feeling easily slips back to what it was, because that's the confirmation bias. You have to forget what is now. You can see it is what is now. This person is behaving in a certain way because in this timeline, this is how they are behaving, this is how they are feeling, but you are going to shift into a new timeline. Your experience is going to change. Forget about what they're going to do. How do you want to feel? How do you want this situation to make you feel? That's what you want to bring some focus to. No, this is what I want. Get really clear on what you want, and don't say things like, I want them to do this, I want them to say this, I want them to behave like this, I want them to behave like that, because we want some spontaneity in life, don't we? To change absolutely everything about a person. If you were to change everything about a person, you wouldn't be into that person anymore. Half the reason you're into them is because they're like this, they're like that. So just pick out the core value. What do you want? This relationship, for example, let's use this one because I've used this one with clients. This relationship is easy and effortless, but you can just say, I want this relationship to be easy and effortless. And you feel it, you truly feel it, and you feel yourself pushing all other scenarios away. So the person they are now, you're just pushing that to one side, to carry on in that timeline, but you are bringing yourself to a timeline where you are getting this experience from them. If it was easy and effortless, that kind of encompasses a lot of things, doesn't it? So you do that. You don't have to do that. It can be whatever you like. But if you start breaking it down into the tiny little parts, you'll never be able to keep up with that, and it won't happen. And then you'll get so much resistance. But if you just bring it down to a sentence, to encapsulate what you want in a sentence, and then just go, let's just see what happens now. And then when you see them as they are in this timeline, just go, okay, I accept that. That's this timeline though, but I'm now bringing myself to this timeline. So things can change. Things do change instantly. It's only our concept of time and our subconscious beliefs about what might need to happen that adds the time in. So I can confidently say, for me, I have done this 3 times now, and I've done it with little things, getting people to say things, changing certain things about somebody, and this situation that I made happen. Yeah, I did make it happen. I made it happen with the Jedi Force inside of me. I brought myself to that. No, this is what I want to happen, and I would feel it internally, feel that happening. I didn't tell a story in my head. I didn't ramble on to myself. I didn't visualize. I just felt that happening. And that was that. And it would last, every time I did it, it would last 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Then I would go about my business and I'd go back to it. Normally, just when I thought about it, I would bring myself to it. So I didn't do it that many times. For that thing, I reckon I did it about 6 times. And then it happened. And it was time imperative. So it did happen exactly when it needed to happen. But everything is instant, because if you think about time all happening at once, this already happened anyway. So it is instant. It's just us that adds this time frame on. So it's focusing on what you want to experience. What experience do you want to have of this person, whoever this person is? What is it now? So you can bring that up and you can feel that, and just feel that as a timeline, and then shift yourself internally, feel yourself shifting to a new timeline and the experience that you want to have, and then stop looking for it, stop searching for it, stop observing what is, kicking in the Zeno effect and not allowing that change. The Zeno effect in quantum is the observer theory. You know, you watch something, you can't change the condition of it. So just think, well, it is what it is now. I don't know what's going to happen with this timeline, when that's going to dissolve, but this is what I want. And if you just say this is what I want over this is what has to happen, you'll notice a difference there. There's much less resistance. For me, saying this is what I want does not cause any resistance, because it is what I want, you know. And then you're just feeling it internally. So you're switching yourself from this timeline to this timeline where you're having a different experience of that person. So if you stop thinking about changing them and only think about timeline shifting, personally, I find that a lot easier. I know some of you won't, and you'll think, well, I don't get that, and that's fine. I can only teach what I do. I cannot tell you to do something that I haven't done myself. This is how I make this work. Absolutely. I can see radical changes. Like the 3 times I've seen radical changes in people, going against everything that I had seen in reality before that. But I am very good at having a new experience and deciding, well, that's it now. I don't go back. I don't suffer with fear then that it's going to change back. Never. But that's my personality type, so you may have to practice that. You might get the fear, but keep bringing yourself back there. No, this is what I want. It depends what you really want, doesn't it? And what you're sort of looking at your future being, and whether this is really impacting you at the moment and you really want to change it. So I might have an experience of somebody based on what I've seen in the past and that confirmation bias, and I haven't dealt with it at all. So it might still come up, might show to me, because I haven't looked at changing that. I could change that if I wanted to. I could most definitely change that. Or I could just go, okay, I'm not ready to do anything about that at the moment, because I'm not ready for that relationship to be any different, because you have to be ready for it too. So I might just leave it alone. And I've become very good at that now, to knowing when I'm not quite ready for something and knowing when to leave things alone, thinking, well, I can go back to that at any point. So with me, I don't now have a fear of, well, if I don't do it now, it'll be too late. I never think that, because I think, well, at any time, there's no time is too late. Because it's a timeline swap, then that can happen at any moment. And even if something is going on with somebody that would indicate that this can't now happen, I don't look at that either. I think, no, that could end, because it's a timeline swap and I'm going to experience what I want to experience. So what happens around that is not my job. That's reality's job to bend for me in order for me to experience that. So bring it back to you and take it away from changing something outside of you. All you're doing is finding a frequency within. And when people say, but I can't find the frequency, well, you're doing that anyway. You're finding frequency all day long, but you're just not really aware of it. So all you're doing is bringing yourself to the desire for it, pushing all other scenarios away, saying, no, I accept that they are possible versions of my reality, but I do not want to experience them. That's not what I choose. I have chosen this. This is my preference. And you're telling your subconscious then, this is what I've chosen, act on this. Right, I'm going to leave that there. This was a request, so I don't want to overcomplicate this, because that really is as simple as it is. When it's worked for me, that's how it's worked for me. When I've tried and I've affirmed and I've tried too hard, it hasn't. It's too much resistance and too much noticing what is now, which isn't what I want. Right, thanks so much for watching. I'm an author, manifestation coach, mindset coach, self-concept coach.